I came back here. I passed this rock before. There was no way of saying I wasn't. I had to accept that I was lost, and it was getting pretty dark. It is too late to keep trying to find a way out, and I have been walking around for at least 2 long hours. I'll just have to camp here and wait until the morning comes, and then I will continue to find a way out of this maze. On a hike in the forest one evening was sure quite a time for me, but something else. I took my backpack off my shoulders and set it down on the ground and started making my site. I pinned my tent up with the pegs and made my bed up inside. I put all my remaining food I brought with me inside. I hope I can last on this small amount until the next day because how low I'm on it. I wasn't planning on staying overnight, just a small adventure, taking a shortcut through the woods. It is a good thing I packed for it though. Well, I missed the scout trail for sure. I shouldn't have tried to cross the woods as I'd never been there before. I should have caught the bus like I was supposed to, around it. I didn't even bring a map. Now with my watch broken, I was definitely out of luck. But that wouldn't matter. It wouldn't help the fact that I dug myself into a hole. It was time to do the last thing before I was set. Dig a small hole a few meters from my tent and gather up some firewood. I know I've only been here for a few hours, but down the path a bit near my campsite, I have felt a strange feeling. What I mean is, I have seen a large number of torn ragged clothes scattered in the trees and ground, abnormally looking claw marks deeply dug into trees, even rocks, that not even a bear could do. I have seen weird marks in the dirt that probably belong to whatever made those engraved marks, and I have this weird feeling inside my stomach trying to tell me something. That's not the weirdest. I also have the feeling of being watched and followed, and not just because the typical wandering around in an area you don't know by yourself. No. What I mean is, on my journey when I was trying to find a way out, every so often I would hear sticks breaking in the woods, footsteps walking on leaves from every side of me each time, getting nearer. And the most uneasy of all is this odd-looking figure I normally see, around 50 meters away in the dark parts of the woods, some parts getting closer, shadowed by rocks camouflaging in the darkness, or peeking at me from a tree. But I am not too sure if I was really seeing what I thought I saw. I'll believe myself less with more comfort, but because I only see it after hearing the noises and turning when it stops, I second guess myself that some creep is following me and I'm its stalked prey. If it wasn't for my oversized bowie knife I brought with me, I'd feel less safe. I probably could have had an easy adventure if I didn't keep turning, looking over my shoulder nearly every minute after hearing and seeing things. Well, I better gather some wood. It is almost at its darkest, and I am already getting cold, especially close to winter. I grab my flashlight and knife, then start hacking at dead branches and dead bits of bush. When I decided I would have enough wood to last me, I headed back to my area to start getting the fire going. When I got back at my campsite, I see something most peculiar. A silhouette of a shadow staring at me. I couldn't see any facial features, as it was far too dark. It looked a little creepy. It was until I glanced at it long enough that I realized it was a figure I saw earlier a number of times on my walk, not using my flashlight so it wouldn't notice me seeing it. Well, I know I'm not crazy, but I think I wished I was, because now I know I have been and still am being watched right now. What if it's a dangerous animal, like a large bear? It might even be a man, though it looked so big, but I wasn't sure as I could only see its faint shadow. Whoever or whatever it was, they were quite far from me, but even though I could still see that this man or thing of a silhouette looked unnaturally tall for a man, like a giant. I wasn't there too long and left a few seconds later. I go back in my tent, grabbing my steel stew jar, heating it up, gobbling it down like drinking water. Speaking of water, I was running out and had to get more. I remember passing a small stream about 5 minutes walk down a trail, and it was drinkable. I know because I used to do scouts as a child, and we did these water drinking safety tests, and I also know a few more important survival methods, like making a tent from branches and leaves. If I didn't bring a tent with me, I could have built my own out of branches. Before I left, I looked around to see if that figure was around still, but saw no sight of him. It was quite tense filling up on water from the feeling that I was followed and watched by this, let's just say, person for now. I had wild imaginations that it would jump from out of one of those trees and start charging at me, drowning me in the stream. I was wrong when I safely got back without being followed. It must have gone. I had an exhausting day walking everywhere. My feet were rough and sore. So was my legs, and getting all the weight off them was a pleasant relief. I was now worn down and needed some sleep. The next morning I'll finally find my way out and go home. Instead of sleeping in a tent, I changed plans and slept outside near the fire instead, as long as I didn't get too close. It was warmer there anyway, and my tent was too old and worn from moth holes and the climate it's been against. I took my bed out of the tent and laid it down in a good spot and finally went to sleep. I wasn't sure how much time passed all the time, but it wasn't too much longer after dozing off to sleep that I woke up from being cold. My fire's out. How did it go out so suddenly? That just can't be possible. I looked and see my whole campsite, like food in the tent I made, all wrecked. I jumped right out, looking around with my knife in my hand, thinking someone came here while I was asleep, trashing my place. A crazy homeless dude, I would not be surprised with all the clothes I've seen. Maybe it was that man or animal I saw earlier. I was investigating the mess now, and I could see in the dirt patches very large prints. Not sure what it belonged to, man or animal. It was weird because it had the shape and features of both. It was the same prints I saw earlier. I placed my flashlight in my back pocket of my denim trousers and once more looked around, hoping I was hidden in the dark. There was nothing in sight, but something done this but left. I wasn't sure how it didn't wake me. I was scratching my head thinking when I heard a strange sound to the right of me in the bushy side of the woods. It was deep and sounded muffled, like someone's voice being choked or covered by a hand. I faced the direction from where the noise was coming from, and at the same time, I hear an eerie distant screaming coming from the woods, and that's when I saw it. The creature is back to harass me. It starts getting nearer to me after a stir down. Before I began to make foot again and flee, I shone my flashlight when it got close enough, and I could see its disfigured appearance. This deformed man, if it is a man, this thing couldn't be any human. Its long floppy arms that reached almost to its knees were all deformed, and one arm was twisted facing the wrong way to how it was supposed to. The few teeth it had were unnaturally large and sharp. I dropped my knife, left all my stuff behind and ran. I ran as fast as I could run for a short while. Then I hid. It was dead black in the late night, but there's no way I could stay back there while that thing is preying me. I hid behind a fig tree. I peeked out and I could still see it. It was still in view. I just hoped it didn't see me. A minute passed while I waited for that thing to lose itself away from me. I peeked out from the tree again, and he is much closer. He must know I'm here. It's getting closer. This monster is for some reason after me. I again start running through the forest away from that thing, not being able to navigate in the dark. I could hear it behind me. It was slow, but I ran faster than ever. As I ran, I discovered more strange, suspicious looking things in the woods that I suspect puzzled to the other things I found. I ran for a good while, eventually stopped hearing its steps behind me before stopping for a quick breath, believing it was now safe, thinking of the situation I'm in, and most of all, what the hell was chasing me. I don't know what it was and had no clue where I was going, but after what I just seen, I needed to get as far away from there as possible. I came up to the stream and crossed it, leading me up to a hill on the other side, and after a long, desperate, blind rush through the woods, I finally found the way and made it out of the tree line and ran out the forest and stumbled on a track running to help. I finally made it out the woods alive, looking for the nearest help, and found a small house nearby the closest farm, to never return to those woods again. I got help and was happy but stunned I was safe. From then on, a few days after that dreadful experience, I saw many psychiatrists as I was traumatized. People wondered what happened to me in those woods and what I saw. They'll never know. If I told them the truth, they probably wouldn't believe me. I stopped talking about it, but when people did ask if I only answered, I'd just say a large wild animal came at me. I'll never be sure what had been stalking me in those woods, whether it was an abnormally huge messed up man or some huge wild rabies animal, but if it wasn't, I don't know what. I'll never know. I wonder if it is still out there somewhere, probably still lurking around in those woods, and I just think what it's doing. If it got to me, I wonder what would have happened and what its goal was, but I wouldn't really want to know.